The American Idol thing. Music director, correct? Is it
And
was
a,
it the
and a consultant.
and consultant? Okay. For those who may not know, uh, the music director for a band, what does that entail for that type of position? I heard a few things when there was a story Phil X had said on one of his YouTube videos, and he was because he played on the Daughtry album, and he was recounting the first, I think the first time you two connected, where he said, I'm paraphrasing it best, where he goes, you get on the phone, hey Phil, this is Stevie Salas. He goes, two bullets and a gun, Stevie Salas. He
Yeah,
says,
exactly what he said. First, he was all quiet. He's all, Stevie, you calling me? I go, what? Two bullets and a gun, Stevie Salas? I'm like, yeah, that's
that
me.
man has energy for aeons of time.
Yeah, yeah,
Love
yeah.
him. I would love to have him here,
Spoke to him.
but anyways, yeah, if you could elaborate on your position and how you were doing that and
Well,
everything.
I'll explain to you what an MD is real quick. So an
Yeah.
MD, before I was a recording artist, before I had a record deal, I had hits as a producer.
Hmm.
I started producing in 1987, and I did it. I would just tell people I'm a producer, and they would let me try, and then I'd cut something, and they'd like it. So it wasn't like I went to producer school or anything. But
Hmm.
what it was I wanted to play guitar a certain way on records, and everybody sounded like George Lynch, and everybody sounded like Bon Jovi and Motley Crue, and in those years in 87, 86,
Hmm.
88 in LA. And I was trying to do something different, but nobody would really understand what I wanted to do. And it wouldn't make sense to them unless I produced the track and they heard the guitar done that way. And then they're like, whoa, this is dope. So that's kind of how I became a producer. And when I produced Was Not Was, it was just kind of a fluke that, we had this number one record, and I'll Come the Freaks I produced, and we did the videos for Walk the Dinosaur and all that. But later on, being the producer is a studio thing where you're rearranging, you're changing keys to song, you're doing all kinds of stuff when you're the producer of a record, a lot. Well, when you become a music director, it's kind of like you're the producer for the live band. I would walk in, I was like, drummer, you're dragging your ass. You need to play the hi hat more on top there, or you're pushing, or hey guys, the song needs to come up 2 beats per minute. I'm famously maybe known for MD and Sash Jordan rats after I produced her album, and I found a young drummer named Taylor Hawkins, and I worked Taylor Hawkins to death. But he would talk about me like how I was so gnarly and so mean to him, but he also would talk to me about how he needed it, and that's what made him who he is. And after he died, everybody was crushed, and his son started writing me, and he goes, my dad would tell me everybody needs a guy like you, So as a music director, you're almost like in the studio, you could be a producer and wearing some drummer out about a track. Well, you're doing it live too. And you're picking, how we're ending songs, and there's a lot involved. Hiring each guy, everybody that's the right guy. Everybody that's great doesn't necessarily make a great band. Sometimes it makes a pure shit band. Everything has to have this. This guy pushes, well, this guy pulls, and it's like, oh, that works good together. But if they both push, it sounds like little kid music. So you're handpicking the right things. And with Daughtry, my first idol was Daughtry. He was super into Nickelback and these kind of bands, right? And I wasn't.
Right.
Not that, no disrespect to Chad. I'm going to see Chad. I'm going to go jam with Sammy Hagar, and Chad's going to be there in a few weeks down in Cabo. We're all going down there. But Chad's a
Nice.
sweet. But no disrespect, no disrespect to Chad. But so with Daughtry, we were going through the songs and when they were writing, and I was a consultant at Idol as well. So his manager Sterling McElwain and I worked together, and we were in the surfing club. But I was the only musician. It was all heads of Island Records and heads of William Morris and the lawyer for the White Stripes. All business guys except me. I was the musician, and we would travel around the world and surf, and we would hire each other. So Sterling called me. He goes, "Hey, Simon Fuller wants me to come work at Idle and work with this kid called Daughtry. If I do it, will you come over with me?" And I go, "Yeah." So I came over. I wouldn't have done it if it was 2000, because to me, I hated the show and I don't like those type of shows. And in 2000, it was too new, and Mick Jagger wouldn't have called me to be his music director and his guitar player if I had already done American Idol, because he would have thought that was not cool. But in 2006, when I came over, the writing was on the wall that the music business was over. And so I said, "This is the big in town, so I'm going to do this." So I got Daughtry, was going through all the songs and all the rough mixes and we were trying to sit down, we were trying, who's his market? Who's his audience? And without letting them get too much in that Nickelback thing, he still had this thing that was a little bit like pop and country, soulful kind of thing. And
Yep.
so I kind of kept him in that. So every musician I'd hired, Daughtry and I auditioned hundreds of musicians. I snuck in the guitar player from San Diego because I knew he was great, um, Josh Steely, because
Ah,
I wanted to give back. So in every idol band, I put somebody from my hometown in San Diego, where I live, in one of the idol bands, so they could have a shot at a career,
yep.
right? So with Daughtry, I remember there's a guy called it's a Mexican guy. He plays in the band called what's the song? Does tell me if you ever had another son? Uh,
Oh, uh,
what are they called? I'm blanking right now, but that
uh,
band has the Maldonado brothers.
yes,
So
yes.
Hector Maldonado and his brother plays in Foreigner now, I think. But
Ah,
but they both played in that band. I forget with that singer. And he came in, Hector Maldonado, and I think, all right, he grew up where I grew up, and he knew me. He used to watch me when we were probably close to the same age, but I made it really young. I got really lucky and made it super young. So I felt older than all those guys. And so I go, he's perfect and he's tasty. Train, it was the band Train, and that he was in, right?
okay.
Okay.
God, that was gonna kill me.
So he's playing, and he's kind of a Mexican looking guy, and he had his hair pulled back in a ponytail,
hmm
but he could tell if he let his hair out, he'd look rock and roll. But he was
hmm
playing super tastefully, and he was playing this Daughtry stuff. And I had him learn a Led Zeppelin song for the auditions or whatever. And I auditioned 150 guitar players, probably, and drummers and all that. So I go, this guy's great. I'm thinking, this guy's great. I go, I think I want to hire this guy. And Daughtry walks over to me while he's playing. And I'm thinking Daughtry's going to go, man, this guy's great. And he whispers in my ear, goes, this guy's great, but he looks like he should play in Los Lobos. And I go, all right, cut. Thanks, Hector. And I just had to move on. I had to move on because he had this visualization of a band with a Paul Reed Smith guitar and a Mesa Boogie amp, like
Oh
all
yeah.
those were doing during 2006. It had
hmm
that same sound and that same look, that thing. And this guy
Yeah.
had a Strat playing through something, so it wasn't going to work. So sometimes as an MD, you can override your artist and say like, nah, just trust me, this is your guy. And then sometimes you got to say like, wow, this guy would have been great, but I want to make the singer happy. I want to move on.
Yeah.
And so that's what an MD does. An MD is like there. If he's up there singing and he's killing it, I'm back there going like this. And if he starts to have a problem, I'm there to catch him when he falls and get him back up there, and make
Yeah.
sure that he feels powerful and feels great. And the whole band. And sometimes that takes me kicking their ass. Sometimes that makes me being awfully mean. But if you want to be great, if you really want to be great, sometimes you got to listen to the hard truths. You can't just be glazed all the time. And I used to bum out a lot of people, because I was like, that sucks. Because people used to say that to me. Rod Stewart used to laugh in my face, you know. The only one that never did. By the time I was a music director for Mick Jagger, I was so on top of my game. Jagger would call me 5 times a day and talk to me about every detail. And he would complain about some of the other guys that I'd have to go fix. Never me, thank God, thank God. But in the beginning, and in those times, sometimes you learn that you can't always be Mr. Congeniality. You gotta be honest, and an artist needs to have thick skin. Go back and read the articles. Google Stevie Salas and Taylor Hawkins, and you'll see a million articles doing that to them.
Yeah. My goodness. It's so great.